you can't do everything as a student leader. So it's really important that you focus on a few things that you can do and you do them well.
This is the Student Leadership News Podcast.
Hey everyone, and welcome to this episode of the Student Leadership News Podcast. Now, this is a special episode. It is our 25th episode. Oh yeah. And for this episode, I've got a special guest. You've met him before. We've got Caleb back with us today. How you going, Caleb?
Yeah, fantastic, Cameron. Thank you so much for having me for the 25th episode. Pumped to be involved.
I was thinking, 25th episode. That's a really exciting episode. That's a really crazy episode. So I had to bring one of the most excitable people I know. And so I brought you along.
You're too kind. I'm excited to see what we can come up with today.
Oh, I'm very excited because this episode, we've got a lot jam-packed. Now, Caleb, coming up, we're going to be answering questions that we get asked all the time across Australia, New Zealand, and other places.
Absolutely.
Online. We're going to be also hearing one of your best leadership tips, which is from a mountain hike that you did.
It was an interesting experience. I look forward to sharing it with you and what I got out of the experience.
Yeah, I look forward to hearing all about it because it's not very often you go on a hike and you... Actually, no, a lot of people go on hikes and get random revelations, but I'm looking forward to hearing your...
I'll share my random revelation with you. Maybe we should call it Random Revelations. But Cam, we also have something we've never done before planned because, it's the 25th episode.
Yeah.
Why not change it up?
Now, Caleb, I'm a little scared because I brought you into this episode of the podcast.
Yes.
I said, Caleb, we've got a great episode planned. It's going to be awesome fun. And you said, hang on, Cam. If I'm coming on for the 25th episode, I'm going to change things up. All I need you to do is leave the first segment blank.
Mm-hmm. That's what I requested.
And I was a little...
So did you do it? Is there?
Well, I have, but I'm a little scared, to be honest. I don't know too much of what's coming up, other than you said I may have to get out of my comfort zone, which I don't like doing too much.
But I've played to your strengths. I've played to your strengths.
Oh,
so
that's very kind.
Don't be too concerned.
Okay, well, Caleb, we've got an awesome episode ahead. Welcome to all our listeners. We are super excited to have you here for the 25th episode. Absolutely pumped. And if you are listening, feel free to send us a message, screenshot that you're listening or you're watching, send it through to us on social media. Yeah, we would love to know that you are listening and enjoying the podcast.
Come say hello.
Tell us your favorite moments.
For now, though,
yes.
Can I give you what this segment's going to be?
Oh, yes. Yep.
You know how you have these really sweet stings for segments?
Yes. Yep.
I may have come up with something I'm pretty happy about.
So you've made one of your own?
Maybe. Can I share it with you?
Yeah.
Okay. Check this out.
Okay, so we're gonna play it. We'll watch it, and everyone else watching and everyone listening will be able to listen.
I can't wait to
hear
see what you
it.
think of this.
Let's go.
Take 157 of my super professional sting. I hope Cam likes it. It's the Cam and Caleb Crazy Challenge. It's the Cam and Caleb Challenge. It's the Cam and Crazy Challenge.
Okay, Cam, we're here. You saw that sting?
No, yeah, okay. That's something interesting. If that's the beginning of this segment of the podcast, I don't know if we're in trouble or in good hands.
Well, I actually haven't shown that to the people who run this show yet, so I'm not sure whether that'll even make it in. But we're gonna try.
Okay, yeah, we're gonna give it a
Hopefully
shot.
you at home get to see that sweet sting I just made. We'll find out. But nonetheless, we've arrived. It's the Cam and Caleb Crazy Challenge.
Yeah, just as crazy as that sting for sure.
You know it. And Cam, I said I played to your strengths.
Yes.
I'll tell you what I mean by that.
Okay.
I've called this the Sprint Challenge.
Okay.
Let me tell you about this, right?
Explain to me. What's
so student leaders, right? One of the most important things that they need to do is to be able to plan events for their school year. It's one of the absolute musts of a student leader.
Yeah.
But
Yep.
we don't always do that effectively.
No.
And I want to give you a tool this morning that is going to enable you as a student leadership team to plan events as effectively and efficiently as I think you will possibly be able to. And Cam, you're going to demonstrate.
Okay, so you said this is a challenge, so I don't expect this to be easy.
Sprint challenge.
Sprint challenge. Oh, I like sprinting.
That's where your strengths
So
come
I'm
in.
just
I
gonna-
like running 50 kilometers. You like running 50 meters. It's all good. That's why you're going to do the sprint.
So I'm just gonna run.
You're just going to run
That's
as
my
fast as you
challenge.
can. Ready? 3, 2, 1. No. What we're going to do is I've got an event idea.
Okay.
I'm going to give it to you.
Yes.
And then I'm going to give you 60 seconds only
Oh wow.
to plan the how, the why, the where, and the who.
Okay.
So I'm going to give you the what, and you're going to plan the rest
Okay.
in 60 seconds.
Okay.
How does that sound?
Oh yes. No, I'm excited. I know I probably seem reluctant. Yes. No, I'm excited for this. This is gonna be interesting.
Okay, let's get ready, and then I'm going to give you the what, and then you're going to have 60 seconds.
Excellent. Okay.
Okay, Cam, 60 seconds about to begin. Here is the what.
Okay.
The world's largest Anzac cookie bake-off. The largest. I want the biggest dang cookie you can give me.
Okay.
60 seconds on the clock. Plan, ready, set, go.
Okay, so it's a competition, okay? That's what I'm going to do, competition. Every single grade in the school can enter in. So if this is a junior school, they can have every grade. If this is a primary and secondary school, whatever. Every single grade. Now, the
That's
way
the
we're
who.
going to do this, yes, that's the who. But specifically, each grade is going to only be allowed to enter in 5 people.
You've used
it's
15
like
seconds.
Oh,
You're a quarter of
okay.
the way there.
It's a MasterChef competition. They're all going to come in.
Oh,
we're
cool.
gonna theme this whole thing MasterChef.
MasterChef. I like
And
it, a
it's
theme.
The Master Cookie Creator Challenge. Okay,
The
that's
Master-
what we're calling
That's
it.
genius.
Okay, and what they're going to do is they're going to try and create the largest cookie. Everyone in the school is going to compete against each other. We're going to do it in the home ec rooms, which are like the cooking rooms at a school. Oh, it takes 12 minutes to bake a cookie. 12 minutes to make an Anzac cookie. So I'm going to say they're going to get 45 minutes to make the biggest one that they possibly can using all their strengths together.
Fantastic. That's
Okay.
awesome.
Okay, what else can I do? Most glamorous cookie.
Yes.
But also, this
there's not long
is
left.
really important
Yeah.
because
3,
you could make
2,
a really big cookie
1.
and it could taste terrible. So it's going to be biggest, but also tasting the best. And everyone in the school gets to taste
Cam,
it.
you've done it.
Yeah, thanks.
Sprinting master. Cameron, round of applause for Cameron, everybody.
Ah.
Beep, beep, beep. Press that round of applause button. I like your style. That was
Okay.
impressive. Well, how'd you feel?
I feel exhausted.
So what do you think you got out of that experience? Talk me through it.
Well, I think not only have I come up with an idea that could be implemented, it's not one of the most glamorous ideas
No.
out there. However, I think what we've just done then is we showed that, it's possible to come up with an idea in under a minute that then
Yes.
you could implement. No planning went into that beforehand about this idea. However, what we just did sitting down then was, when you're put under pressure sometimes, you come up with the best ideas.
Absolutely.
So all I'm going to say is that challenge was lots of fun. And maybe for the student leaders listening
It was fun watching you try to talk like that. You were like a rapper. Maybe we can mix this later and post like a
Okay.
remix DJ Cam rap remix of the challenge.
Maybe. Well, that's good that you just said that because you know what I'm going to say? Sometimes when you're brainstorming, it's really easy to get distracted with all the other things. But if you put a time pressure on yourselves, then you won't be able to get distracted. So we wouldn't have been able to talk about rapping halfway through, but now afterwards we're able to.
Perfect.
But one of the most important things is to implement. So although we weren't trying to make the best event just then, we're showing you that even in this challenge, I guess that you can make an event in under a minute.
Perfect. So the student leaders out there, use that. That's a tool for you. The sprint session. Set yourselves a challenge, give yourselves a clock, and make one of your event ideas happen in 60 seconds.
There we go. We turned a fun challenge segment where you just wanted to see my brainstorming abilities into a leadership advice right there.
I think we'll have fun watching you back and laughing a little bit too.
Oh.
So it's a bit of both.
Excellent. Well, thanks everyone for jumping in for that challenge. Now, go back to your school and do the same thing. However, Caleb, we're going to roll on with the rest of the podcast as planned. And next up, we're going to be answering some questions. So let's jump into that segment.
Boom, let's do it.
Question time.
All right, Q&A, Cam. So
Yep.
we talked about we love getting questions from students all around the place. What do they want to know?
Well, yeah, they want to know so many things. If that was a
Absolutely.
question for me,
I-
they want to know a lot of things.
Great answer. You're
think-
nailing this already.
I think the funny thing is leadership is such a broad topic. And so what we're going to try and do today, often we get like specific questions that we get asked and we ask each other those questions. We're going to try and answer 3 questions that we get asked a lot by a lot
we've
of students.
heard these
We're
quite
gonna-
a few times.
We're going to try and tackle these big questions so that when these questions come up, maybe even you can come back to these things. When these struggles come up at school, you can come back and just watch this segment right here. But Caleb, I've got a question for you. Do you have any questions for me?
I have 2 right here. So I'm going to kick off with this one.
Okay.
If that's okay. I'm going to
Okay.
kick things off. Cam, this is a question we hear all the time. How do we make sure we stay focused on school but also complete our leadership responsibilities?
Caleb, that's a great question. The tough thing is, I'm going to say this straight up because I think this is relevant for everyone. Everyone's got the same amount of time in the year, and you want to achieve a lot of things. And sometimes it's really easy as student leaders to just say, I am going to just spend all my time working on student leadership responsibilities. And then you almost like forget about school entirely, and then your grades suffer, but you also want to do great. I think the thing is, there's this whole thing of balance. maintaining focus on both is kind of like a seesaw. At times, there'll be times where one end of the seesaw needs to be focused on, and that needs to go to the ground. That's where all the effort needs to go. And the other one just has to go up in the air. It's just all ideas.
I love seesaws.
Yeah, the seesaws are great.
That's perfect.
And the other time it has to swing back. So there's times throughout
Like
the
where
year.
you catapult your friend off the other end of the seesaw?
Yes, exactly.
Is
like
that what you want?
Well, you catapult all your responsibilities off. No. There's times where you have to really focus on just doing your school responsibilities. But when you know those things are going to come, you know that in weeks 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, like those later weeks in the term, you're going to have to do a lot of assignments. So in those earlier weeks, they're a great time to plan the things that are going to happen during those times, those leadership responsibilities. And if you plan well enough in ahead, then you'll find that your focus doesn't have to constantly shift.
Great answer there, Cam.
Okay.
Check that out.
Okay, I've got a question for you now, Caleb.
Hit me.
This one's a good one.
Ooh.
How do you say no to another student's idea?
Oh, man, you guys ask tough questions. Saying
This-
no is hard, isn't it, Cam?
I've heard this question so many times because I think student leaders, they want to achieve so much throughout the year. And so many people have ideas of what they want to achieve. And they're often great. I've heard so many great ideas. But how do you say no to those ideas?
Absolutely. So the first thing is what you just said. You need to consider every idea. No idea is a bad idea. That's
Okay.
the first principle you need in place before we can even begin to answer this
Yes.
question. Because, have you heard of Steve Jobs?
Yes,
The man who
yep.
used to run Apple, right? So when they made iMovie, one of the most widely used software programs
Yeah,
out there,
yep.
everyone loves iMovie.
It's
right?
great.
The way they came up with that is they sat in a room, like some of the executives at Apple, some of the top designers. They closed the blinds and everyone knew they weren't allowed to interrupt what was going on in that room. What was going on in that room was they were just throwing random ideas at each other to try and come up with some of the best programs they could think of. And iMovie was born out of that.
Wow.
So the rule at first was they couldn't say no. They just went for it. So that's the first principle. Just
Okay.
absolutely go for it. Then it comes to a point where you actually need to refine your ideas. And of
Mm.
course, this is where you might need to say no to something.
Yep.
Now, I want to change your answer slightly.
Okay.
Your question for
Change
my answer.
question, yes.
So instead of saying no, I want you to say this. No, because.
Yeah, okay.
Because to respect your fellow leaders,
Mm.
you need to give an explanation as to why one idea might be better
Yes.
than another. Saying no is okay, but just saying no full stop, we'll never talk about that again,
Mm.
that's going to hurt feelings. So I'd
Yeah.
encourage you, no, because. Take the time to explain why, and that's how you say no effectively.
I like what you said there. No, because I also think choosing ideas that you do throughout the year is a matter of like focus, like we talked about in the first question, except a different type of focus. You can't do everything as a student leader, so it's really important that you focus on a few things that you can do and you do them well.
Yeah, that
And-
could be a reason.
Yeah, exactly. And so if you divide too much between ideas, you may find that what you want to achieve throughout the year doesn't get achieved. And so it's really important you focus. And so that's a great place to come from as a student leader and say, this is a great idea, but we're not going to be able to go with it because our focus is on this. But that's a great answer right there. I like that little tip right there. No, because,
No,
and then a good
because. Just
reason.
change your answer slightly from no to no, because. Fantastic. Cam,
Okay.
can I ask you another question?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I was
Fire
worried you were going
away.
to say no, because. I was
No, because I'm
going to ask anyway.
Okay.
Okay. Why is a positive attitude so important as a student leader? We talk about attitude all the time.
Yes.
What's all this carrying on about attitude?
I think attitude is so important because it reflects your character. Attitude is almost the outward appearance of your character. And so we talk about character a lot. We talked about it in the last episode as well, how character is those inward values that you have. Often you can't actually show people your character, like in the sense of like you can't be like, this is my character, look at it. It's not like a movie or anything, like this is my character.
Check me
It's-
out walking down the street with all my character. No, how it works.
You can't do that, no. And so I think your attitude is one of the best ways that you can show your character
Yeah,
as
it's a really
leader.
visible thing. If someone
Yeah.
has a bad attitude, you can spot them in a crowd,
Yes,
right? It's like, this
yeah.
person clearly doesn't want to be involved with this event we're running.
Yeah.
That's a terrible look to have as a student leader.
And I think, sometimes we think that if someone's serious, they've got a bad attitude. But it's this whole thing of there's times to be serious as a leader,
Yeah.
but it's not about having that straight face where you're just like constantly looking like you don't want to be there. It's about going like, there's times to be serious. And there's also times, that's a great straight face right there, Caleb. There's times to be serious, but there's also times that you have to really be outgoing. And I think attitude is just one of those great ways that you can show your character.
Fantastic. Love your work, Cameron.
Thanks, Caleb. Well, Caleb, I'm super excited. Thanks for answering those questions right there.
Thanks for answering the questions I had. And thank you for your questions. Cam, I'm so excited to tell you this story.
We will get right back to this episode of the Student Leadership News podcast, which is sponsored by Halogen Australia. Halogen Australia has been running the National Young Leaders Days for over 20 years and have reached over 437,000 young leaders around Australia. The National Young Leaders Day is a great opportunity to be inspired by a variety of high-profile Australians. Head to www.halogen.org.au to find out more about the National Young Leaders Day. Now let's jump back into this jam-packed episode of the Student Leadership News podcast.
BLT, Best Leadership Tip.
Okay, Caleb. We've waited the whole episode for
Saved
this.
it for last.
I'm more excited for finding out what this story is about than I was finding out what the segment was in the first segment because I was scared of that. I'm excited for this story. Now, all I know is you were climbing a mountain and you had a big revelation.
Yes.
Mountain climbing revelation right here.
Yes.
Tell me the story. What happened?
Okay.
What's your best leadership tip?
Let's do this.
Because you said this is a best leadership tip,
Uh-huh.
but unless your tip is go hike a mountain, I can't tell what it is.
Well, the best leadership tip, first of all, is pack 2-minute noodles.
Okay.
Because that's what I was doing at the top of the mountain, right?
Okay.
So we were over in New
You're
Zealand.
packing 2-minute noodles?
No, we had 2-minute noodles
Okay.
with us when we got to the top of the mountain, so we weren't hungry on the mountain.
Okay, so you're going to tell us a story. This segment's just gone all over the place. So this is the best leadership tip that you're going to share with us is a story.
Yes.
Okay, go. Tell us your story
I'll
now.
try and pull something out of this for you. No, I love this, right? So we were over in New Zealand
Yes.
recently, and we were running some fantastic student leadership
Yeah.
events. We were having a fantastic time. While we were over there, me and one of my best pals, we decided we were going to go and conquer a 3-day hike.
Okay.
And part of this 3-day hike, on day 3, so the last day, was climbing to the tallest point of the track.
Oh.
So it was 1,800 meters above sea level. So
that
we're-
sounds like a lot of meters.
It's a lot of meterage, right? There's a lot of meterage,
Yep.
which is why we packed 2-minute noodles.
Yeah.
Because we're like, we're going to get a lot of meterage, then we're going to want some noodles. You know, it's just what happens. So we hit up this mountain, and we get up there, and we're up there, it's blue skies, and you can see all the way to the ocean, and it's pretty much like, there was like angels singing. Like, we were just killing it. And we're like, okay, we're hungry. Let's
Yeah.
make some 2-minute noodles.
Okay.
And so we sit there, and me and my bud, we're making 2-minute noodles, and it's fantastic. And then out of nowhere, out of the mist and the clouds.
You said it was a perfectly clear day. and you
Yeah,
could
for
see
this
the
part,
ocean.
there's Mr. Cloud.
So the mist and the clouds have just kind of
Dramatic
sunk
effects,
down.
Cam.
It's
Yeah,
like
that's
Kung
right.
Fu Panda.
That's exactly
They've just
right.
come down. There's been this big gong. And
Exactly.
Okay.
Big gong, and out of nowhere.
mist and clouds.
Perfect. Thank you for emphasizing mist and clouds. This lady appears out of nowhere, okay?
Wow.
And she comes up to us, and we're like, oh, we know you. Because all day long when we'd been hiking, we'd been like leapfrogging this lady. And we were like, oh, we're so much faster at hiking than her. We'd go past her, and then we'd stop and have some 2-minute noodles, and then she'd go past us.
So, okay.
Right.
I was trying to understand. I thought you maybe meant the game that you play when you're young where you bend it, like you just like kind of crouch over
Yeah.
and someone jumps over you.
I was keen for that, but no one wanted to do that on the mountain.
That's a lot harder to hike a mountain. Okay, so you're going back and forwards.
Yeah. And she hits us up on the top of this mountain. We haven't seen her for a while, and she comes out. She'd actually been walking with a friend all day.
Okay.
Her friend was nowhere to be seen. So we were like, what is going on?
Yep.
So we're like, oh, hey, like, are you okay? And she's like, yeah, I'm going really well, but I'm actually not with my friend anymore.
As in
She
she's-
couldn't climb the mountain.
Oh,
She
okay.
didn't want to. So she's gone somewhere else. She's gone to the accommodation for the night.
Yep.
And I came up here because I wanted to see the top of the mountain. And we saw this lady and we were like, okay, it's great that she climbed up by herself. But climbing down this mountain by herself is going to be dangerous.
Okay.
And we don't really want her to have to do that.
No.
So me and my pal, we looked at each other and we were like, we're going to have to help her get down this mountain so
Yeah.
that we make sure she makes it safely. We were tucking in some pretty good 2-minute noodles. We had to put that aside, right?
Okay.
And we had to help this lady get down this mountain safely to the next accommodation. I don't know if you understand how much of a sacrifice it is to interrupt the 2-minute noodle session.
Apparently pretty big.
But yes, and that is why this is my BLT. It's a
Okay.
big sacrifice, but for a great leadership tip.
Okay.
Sometimes, you ready? Here it is.
Yes, share with me.
Leaders must plan. Our plan was to have 2-minute noodles. Leaders must plan, but be willing to be flexible.
Oh, okay, that's good. There it is.
There's my
just like the
BLT.
mist is cleared again, and we now know your BLT.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I had this idea and the mist cleared, and I was like, oh, leadership tip for the podcast.
So leaders must plan. You know, there's lots of opportunities throughout the year where leaders have to be really well planned.
Spot on.
But I think flexibility is really important. I like
key.
how you said that, because you'll come up with things throughout the year, and maybe something last minute, even just like on the thing, you've got this plan, it seems great, but last minute you just have to change it. You just have to do something different. But that's a great tip right there. Love it, Caleb.
Let's go get some 2-minute noodles after this podcast.
Okay, sounds good to me. If they're as great as you say, then I'm really excited. Anyways, that's enough about food. We always talk about food in this podcast. I'm surprised we actually got past saying BLT without talking about bacon, lettuce, tomato. We've done it. My bad. Well, Caleb, this brings us through to the end of this podcast episode. It's been a really fun time getting to chat with you about these things. So many leadership tips right there. We are so excited for all the listeners listening along. The 25th episode is a big deal to us, and so we hope you've enjoyed this podcast. We are going to be coming back in a couple of weeks with another episode of the podcast. It's going to be super exciting. You may even make an appearance again, Caleb, with someone else.
You're inviting me back.
I am. It's
I'm
been
keen.
so much fun. Well, Caleb, if for the people still listening, feel free to hit us up on social media.
Please do. Come
Send
say
us
good
in your
day.
questions. We'll love to know that you are listening along and enjoying the podcast. But for everyone who has listened, thank you so much, and we'll see you in the next episode, or you'll hear us in the next episode of the Student Leadership News Podcast.
Peace out.
Thanks for listening to the Student Leadership News Podcast. Interact with us on social media and follow the news online at studentleadership.news.